Today we're unraveling the myth of clever code in software engineering, and this came about from an article that I was reading. Here at StartupHakk, we love to train software developers. We take people with zero experience and help to train them to be ready to start as a full-stack software developer in as little as 3 months. So let's dig into this myth of clever code in software engineering. I've heard it said, always code as if the guy who ends up maintaining your code will be a violent psychopath who knows where you live. Code for reliability. But let's break down some of these points. So number one, the lure of clever code. Initially, clever code, like concise one-liners seen on platforms like Leetcode, may seem impressive. However, this form of code golfing is impractical in the real world, being that it makes it really hard to read and hard to maintain. Number two, clarity over cleverness. The true challenge lies in writing clear code. This approach is more labor intensive, but results in code that is easier to understand and review, especially when compared to the often convoluted code of less experienced engineers. I usually see this clever code come from engineers who's copied and pasted off something and think it's really cool, or reuse a similar piece of code over and over again. Write code that somebody can read. It's way better. Number three. So I've got a real world example for you here. A case in point is a data enrichment module written in this hard piece of C++, initially was implemented in just 2 files, leading to a really messy but functional program. This approach wouldn't pass a rigorous code review due to its lack of clarity. So if somebody can't read your code and quickly determine what it's doing, then it fails, and go back to the drawing board. Number four. So let's talk about some misconceptions around simple code. Ironically, exceptionally clear code can sometimes be mistaken for simplicity, leading to underappreciation of the developer's efforts, especially in performance reviews within larger tech companies. So sometimes somebody looks at their code and thinks, wow, this code is really simple, and they think that's bad. It's not bad. That's good. As somebody who's been maintaining software for over 25 years, if code is simple, it's beautiful. So let's talk about debugging in clear code. There's a saying that debugging is twice as hard as writing the code, and I think it may even be 3 times. Therefore, clear, easily understandable code is not only beneficial for the initial development, but also crucial for future maintenance and debugging efforts. One of the other reasons it becomes really important is if you have critical lines that are difficult to understand, and then you need to go make a change to them. Frequently, you're only changing one part of the line if it's a really complicated line. And a lot of times the get code compare won't show the difference as well between the two. Where with simpler code, it's usually a little more spread out, and therefore if you make one change, it's usually just one piece, and the get compare becomes easier later on to understand. So let's work about how we can improve our coding skills. So writing clear code involves adherence to style guidelines and often rigorous reviews by experienced developers. You want to make sure you can swallow your pride and take some critique a little bit. It's a skill that improves with experience, and it is essential for maintainable, efficient software development. And this is why we dig into industry standards. Industry standards are where companies like Google and Vercel provide public style guides to encourage clear coding practices. These guides, along with tools like linters and prettifiers, help maintain coding standards across the industry. So in summary, while clever code may appear sophisticated, it's clear, readable code that truly excel in software engineering worlds. Understanding and mastering this principle is key to efficient and effective software development. And my final reminder on the subject, always code as if the guy who ends up maintaining your code will be a violent psychopath who knows where you live. Code for readability. What are your thoughts? Leave your comments down below, or show us some of your ugliest code that you've seen as you've been able to maintain code. Here at StartupHakk, we love training software developers. We take people with zero experience and help to train them to be ready to start as full-stack software developers in as little as 3 months. So make sure to check out the link down below or go to startuphakk.com today.